What's going on, y'all, and welcome back to another mock draft video. You guys know the drill. Every 2 weeks, we're taking a look at the latest mock draft to see how the biggest prospects in the world right now are getting ready for the NBA. Let's jump into it. And that brings us back here to Bleacher Report, as it always does. I like doing these just as a way to kind of keep up with everything that's going on in terms of like ranking of prospects, but a couple clarifiers before we get into this. One, I'm extremely passionate about prospects and the development of young players. You guys know that was a big part of like my career in basketball, was the development of like young guys when they first got to college or when they first got to the NBA and stuff. Like that's a big part of what I do, is like player development and stuff. So like this is my shit right here. I love doing this. I love the scouting and everything. That's a big part about what I do and still currently do. So exciting stuff in that. I will always say, I have not even begun to do like extreme deep dives on any of these guys, right? There's certain guys that I haven't missed a game of theirs yet, and it's the top 3 guys just because I've really enjoyed them. It's a lot of fun watching them, and I'm excited about them. But I like to add some clarity that like I haven't done a super in-depth thing on any of these guys. I'm not going to do it until there's only about like 25% left in the season, just because like I'm doing other things for my business right now. I'm doing more so game-to-game type things for teams. And so just know that like my opinions are going to change. I don't have like full-on thoughts on any of these dudes completely yet. So it's ever-changing, right? And I think that's important. The other thing is like I'm not going to take much stock in like the team that's selecting these people in these articles right now. We just kind of want to see where guys are being ranked right now in these mock drafts, because look, could I assume that the Wizards and Pelicans are probably going to be at the bottom by the end of the season? Yeah, probably, but there's so much NBA season left. We still have like 50 some games left, maybe a little bit less. Anything can change, right? We're not even halfway through the season, so we'll start talking about fit and everything a little bit later in the year. But anyway, let's jump into it. We all know, by the way, we say this every single week, whatever order you have the top 3 guys in this draft, that's totally fine. I tell you guys right away, I think all of them are future all-stars in the NBA. That's how good that I think these 3 are. I think it's a super exciting draft class. If you've got Ace number 1, Dylan number 1, Cooper number 1, can totally see it. I can totally see it. I've got who I think is number 1 right now, and that hasn't changed in the past couple weeks, but I let you guys have your opinion. So just know I believe it either way. Number 1, Cooper Flagg. Not a surprise at all. I'd be pretty shocked to see Cooper Flagg fall off of number 1. He had a really good game recently, and I think what's so interesting about Cooper Flagg is like, well, one, people are starting to hate on him a little bit because he is so good, and like, look, are the shooting performances and like is the efficiency always top tier? No, as I'll continue to say, college basketball is much different than any other style of basketball that you can play. And it's probably one of the worst overall like basketball products that's out there. In terms of like entertainment and everything, I totally understand the fun of it and everything. It's just from watching it as a basketball Puritan, I guess as I'll say that I am, it can be hard to watch. But Cooper Flagg, like he just gets it, man. Offensively, especially defensively, he really understands it. There are times where maybe he jumps a bit too much because he really just wants to block the shit out of somebody off the backboard, and like I can let it go for the 17-year-old, right? I can let it go at the end of the day. But overall, it's been cool to see him working in like pick and rolls a little bit more. He's been getting to perfect spots on the court recently. He's been converting pretty well. There's still times where you're like, oh, I'd like to see that shot fall through or something like that, but I'm not tripping about it at the end of the day. His athleticism, his movement, his size and everything, it's incredible. He's going to be an awesome like generational type player in my opinion. So really excited about Cooper Flagg. I think he's super good. Can't wait to see him. They're comparing him to Andre Kirilenko and Jalen Johnson. I don't know. I don't know if I see that. I don't know who I should compare him to. Like, honestly, he reminds me more so of, like, Scotty Barnes, in all honesty. And I would love to see Cooper Flagg and Scotty Barnes team up together. The Toronto Raptors are bad, and it's getting worse right now. So that is certainly something that we could see. But I would love to see those two on a team. That would be so cool. Anything else interesting on the ball, in on-ball screen situations? That's what I've been saying. He's been getting himself quality looks. Okay, you are watching. Good for you. He's already had games of 26 points and 11 boards versus Kentucky. 24, yep. Yeah, no, Cooper Flagg's really good. Dylan Harper, not surprised to see him here at number 2. Dylan Harper is phenomenal. He's the best player in college basketball. That's what I'll say. I continue to say it, and this is going to sound like repeat information to those of you that have been watching these videos consistently. Dylan Harper's game is best suited for college basketball out of the 3 top guys, right? And that doesn't mean that he won't convert well to the NBA. I think he's got one of those games that just plays well everywhere, right? That's my opinion on him. The ability to stop and go, really read everything. He's got a multitude of counter moves already. He can shoot from anywhere, right? Like defensively, he's very sound. He's got great size. I mean, the 6'6", 215, they're calling him Big Jalen Brunson, is a perfect way to describe him. We've seen him be clutch already this year. We've seen him play make for everybody else, playing off other guys. It just seems like he can just run a team from start to finish, and I think he's absolutely phenomenal. I'm glad that it's been such a good season for them. I know they don't always win every game, and like, look, you have to understand the Rutgers team itself is not very good. They just happen to have two very good players, but overall, man, it is a pleasure, and I hope we get to see them in the tournament and everything. I think the NCAA will find a way to get them in. I just think that they will, because we all know how the NCAA works and those slimy bastards over there. But anyway, I can say that because I worked within it, okay? So Dylan Harper, phenomenal player. Anybody that drafts Dylan Harper, you should be really excited about him. Even though he's not like the most explosive athlete in the world, he just makes it work. So he knows how to use his size and his strength and like all the different array of moves that he has. So you should be really excited about Dylan Harper. I don't need to keep harping about it. Ace Bailey is my guy, though. This is my number one. You guys know that. Ace Bailey had such a weird game. Was it against Columbia the other day where he was literally like, they were running, I can't remember if it was a 2-3 or a 3-2, but like, look, zones are really easy to beat if you know how to do them. That's why NBA teams don't run them like too much unless they have very specific personnel, because teams know how to beat it, right? It's not like a coach has to call out how to beat a zone. These guys know how to beat it at this point. But Columbia was just like sitting in this zone, and Ace just kept going to the free throw line, which is, you know, you beat zones by getting to the middle of the court, right? He just kept catching the ball, turning around, and then just hitting this little like free throw jumper. And he did it like 9 or 10 times. Like he was just getting buckets off that. He didn't have to do anything else. He was like, okay, I'm just going to keep going here, hitting this turnaround, really nice looking fadeaway shot. And it was money the whole game. And like just talking about Ace Bailey in general, I've said the Kevin Durant comparison. I will keep saying it. He's like a smoother Kevin Durant, like in terms of like his movement and his athleticism. It's so cool to see him work with the ball, without the basketball. He can hit a jump shot from anywhere on the court. It's amazing. No matter who's in his face, the creativity he has with the basketball is so cool. There's been, I'd say 3 or 4 times this season where he's had the ball and he's taking some time in like isolations to look over the court and stuff, which is fine. I mean, eventually you'll have to be a little bit quicker with that stuff, but I'm like, okay, what's going to happen? And then he does something that like, I was like, whoa, I didn't even think that was an option or something like that. And he goes and makes it work and makes a tough shot. And I'm like, okay, fair enough. And then, yeah, the athleticism, the shooting touch and everything, it looks great. I just think you can't teach this type of stuff. 6'10" at that size can do all of it. It's absolutely amazing. Shooting 45% off the dribble. We love to see that. Also has a special knack for separating into jumpers and hitting contested shots. Yeah, some of the shots that he hits, I keep telling this to scouts, and I haven't met a scout that's disagreed with me yet, is I'm like, there's not many NBA guys that can hit the shots that he can hit. And they're like, totally with you. Totally with you. It's phenomenal. Like, he looks special. Him on Toronto as well would be cool. So shout out the big three. Whatever order you have them in, absolutely phenomenal. Who do we got next? Oh, we've got a new one in the top 5, Jeremiah Fears. Shout out to, I can't remember who it was, but probably about a month and a half ago, somebody commented on one of the videos and was like, hey, I feel really good about Jeremiah Fears. And I hadn't looked into him too much at that point, and I was like, okay, I'll look into him. So shout out you know who you are. Yeah, no, dude's been cooking as of late, and that's kind of an understatement. So again, bigger guard. This is the year of bigger guards. 6'4", 182, right? Could put some weight on, but he's young, right? Like it's totally fine. But this guy is a scorer and then some. Jeremiah Fears moves differently with the ball. Yeah, no, like the array of different moves that he has is absolutely amazing. In the half court, using quick dribble moves, bursts, and explosiveness. Yep, super good athlete around the basket. Like, this is your traditional, like, American super athlete point guard type guy, right? There are questions about his shooting and decision making. That's typical for guys like this, right? I mean, you can, yeah, the Jaden Ivey, Russell Westbrook comparisons are honestly pretty sound. Like, the athleticism looks so good. It's just like he's playing a bit too quick sometimes. The college game doesn't really suit that style of play very well, so it's not surprising that he's going to turn the ball over a lot. He's probably going to do it a lot when he gets to the NBA as well, because he's just pretty relentless in how he does things. But he's hitting threes. Yep, the mid-range pull-up looks good. The floater's awesome. Yeah, he's passing the ball really well. Like, he just feels like he can run the team when he needs to, right? Like, he can go be like, okay, just follow me. I got you guys. Let's make some things happen. But yeah, no, he's immature right now, and he's kind of just running around like a chicken with his head cut off, but he's making things happen still. So he's going to be interesting to watch. I'm not sure I have him all the way at like 4 yet in my mind, but I'm not surprised to see him rising up here. I think that's cool. Wouldn't be surprised if there's starting to be some rotations in these drafts, by the way. All right, we got Kasparis still at number 5. I don't know how to say his last name, and I'm sorry that I never know how to pronounce anybody's names. It's just not a strong suit of mine, and if you knew my last name, you wouldn't you wouldn't judge me on it, because I know you can't say my name. But anyway, no, Kasparis for Illinois, as my pops keep saying, like, he doesn't actually call me AVC, but he's like, AVC, like, dude's nice, and I'm like, yeah, pops, I know, he is nice, he's good. He's like, he's got a sound game to him, he really gets where to be on the court. I'm like, yep, you right, pops, you right. And so look, pops is right. He's got a very all-around game to him. Kind of reminds me of the Josh Giddey type, where it's like, look, he's coming into the NBA a little bit more ready than the average person. Like, he just kind of seems to get it. Again, big ball handler, 6'6", 200 pounds, out of Lithuania. Awesome. We've seen him, like, he started out the season kind of slow in scoring. Now he's been really picking it up with, like, I don't know how many 20-point games he's had in a row, but it's hard to score 20 points in college basketball. Like, it really is. It's the game's shorter. It's harder to get going. There's not as much pace and stuff. So him putting up this many 20-point games has been awesome. You're seeing it with, like, the change of direction speed that he has. The playmaking is, like, he gets it. Like, there's no, like, delay in his playmaking. Like, it's just, I know where to go. Yep, I get it. I know what's going on. Like, let's go. Keep up with me type of thing, right? And so you've seen him take charge in late game situations. It's been awesome. The perimeter creation, changing his speeds, that's been awesome. He's making shots from everywhere. Like, it's been really, really cool to see. Poise and production, yep, totally agree with all of it. Athletic limitations, for sure. That's kind of why I compare it to the Josh Giddey stuff. I feel confident about this guy. Here's the thing, right, with this draft class that I'm curious to you guys. By the way, this is a reminder, like, subscribe, and comment. I've responded to every single comment to my YouTube channel, and I intend to keep on doing so. If you leave me a comment, I will reply. It's that simple. This is where I'm curious about you guys. Let's do some next level thinking on things, right? I've called this the year of the big playmakers, right? There's a lot of big guys in this draft that like to have the basketball, and that's how they have success. The NBA loves guys like this. Everybody wants their next Luka, their next Jason Tatum, right? Something like that, like LeBron, right? I mean, Wemby can handle the fucking rock. Jokic, right? Everybody wants the big playmakers, right? The guys that are smart, they can run the team and everything. Cool. There's only so many basketballs in every game, right? And there's only so many guys on each team that can do this, right? So what are some of these guys going to do if they can't have the basketball the whole time, right? If we're going to be developing a generation of people that can do this, I mean, that's cool. We also have to see them play without the basketball as well. And that's what I like so much about Ace, Cooper, and like Dylan, is they've shown they don't need the ball. They can play with other people and things like that. Kasparis, there's no need for him to pass the ball very much. I know the other Illinois kid, can't remember his name off the top of my head now, but like, he has the ball a decent amount of the time as well. But you know, to what extent is Kasparis going to be able to do that? That's where I think we have to start asking questions about some of these other ball handlers coming in this next year. Is like, okay, what's going to happen when you don't have the ball, right? Then what? What's your next trick, right? What's the next thing you're going to do? Because do we want to just hand the keys to all these guys? I mean, these guys are pretty good, right? A lot of these guys are really good. This looks like a good draft class, but it's hard to be a lead ball handler in the NBA right away. So curious to hear what you guys think about that. Let's do some double clicks on people, right? VJ Edgecombe, you guys know I love VJ Edgecombe. This face, I just love this face right now. Kind of like, y'all think you can play with me? That's the attitude that he has, and I love it. I'll keep saying the international experience that he already comes in with, I think, is super valuable. I keep wanting to stress, Baylor doesn't always know what they're doing on the basketball court. That's a pretty common tendency of them, is like, just go get really talented guys and just go play basketball and see what happens. So no offense to Baylor, it's just, that's what I've observed in my time in college basketball and everything. So that's my kind of assessment of it. They don't really do anything with him. They just let him touch the basketball, and then he creates everything himself by just being a better athlete than everyone else, because he's a 10 out of 10 athlete, right? He's super explosive. He's quick. Defensively, he's made some incredible plays, blocking shots, stealing the ball, just from being better than everyone else purely. Like, the shot itself isn't falling a ton right now, and he's kind of just forcing things to make it happen, but like, he seems so talented, and I feel like he's just kind of in a college basketball system that doesn't know how to play basketball, and and once we get him in an NBA style system that can actually utilize all the gifts that he has, because like a lot of the form stuff like looks good. I'm not saying he's creating anything special off the dribble or anything right now, but there's so much ability in this size and framework, right, of 6'5", 180. Like the Andrew Wiggins Shumpert comparisons are really good. He should be a really good defender. He should be able to create some tough shots. He's going to be better than everyone athletically. So I'd like to think like we can fill him in even more too. He looked like just body wise, like I'm like, yep, we can put like 15 pounds on this kid pretty easily. And I don't know. I think we could develop him into something really, really, really cool. I would love the chance to develop Edgecombe. So yeah, that's what I think of him. I don't think he's going to be a 3-level scorer right away in the NBA, but I think we can get him there. I think we can get him to an all-around player with some defense, and like he could, like I could see him becoming an all-star player one day. Like that's what I see in like his archetype and everything. So take that as you will. That's how highly I look at Edgecombe. All right, come on, Maluak. I still don't know how to say it because I watch most games on silent, believe it or not, just because I don't like listening to a lot of the commentaries. I just don't feel like they talk about anything interesting during the games. So I'm just like kind of listening to something else while I'm doing my homework, and not actually homework, but my homework that is my job. So Malak, first big that comes off the board, right? What do we know about him? Defensively, really, really good, right? Except for certain moments where like he just kind of is non-experienced, right? He's pretty new to basketball, so there's been a couple times where it's like, okay, you just didn't see that coming, and it's totally fine. He gets above the rim, he gets a lot of putbacks. The block numbers honestly don't jump out, but if you're watching the game, because I'm watching a lot of Duke because of Cooper Flagg, right? And Knipple and Maluak, I don't know how to say his name still, but because I'm watching so many of those, I'm like, okay, he's deterring so many shots, right? Like he is a absolute force down there. It's one of those things where you have to look past the stats a little bit to actually understand how good this guy is. He seems really, really smart. He's never in the wrong spot offensively. He's not being creative yet, but again, I can just easily attribute that to he just hasn't played much basketball. That's totally fine. But when you're 7'2" and you can just get on your toes and dunk the basketball, I feel pretty good about that. I don't really understand the Alex Sarr comparison because I don't think he moves elegantly like Alex Sarr does with the basketball, and that's what gets me excited about Sarr. But I think this guy could be a starting center in the NBA at some point that's just a defensive monster. I don't know if offensively he's ever going to be anything that crazy. We've seen in the look, we just don't have much film of this guy, right? In his very early film days, he was hitting threes and stuff, but like, look, people can make film look however they want to nowadays to kind of tell a certain story. So I need to see it first. I need to be in a gym and kind of see it. But for the time being, no, I think you can get a starting center out of this guy eventually. The more experience and stuff, it's just he needs to go to a franchise that can actually develop well. And I don't know. There's certain teams that like I wouldn't trust them with him. So just take that into account. Trey Johnson, the big Cam Thomas is what I have been calling him, and I know that Bleacher Report's calling him Cam Thomas as well, which I absolutely love. 6'6", shooting guard, absolute walking bucket with a capital B. This guy can score. He was out for a couple games with some injuries, came back in, just got efficient buckets at the end of the day. Didn't matter where. He's one of those dudes too that like he like calls for a screen, and then in the amount of time it takes for the big to come from the post to come set the screen, he's like, fuck it, that took too long. He's like, I'm gonna chuck this bitch up right here, and blow, just like drains it, and you're like, all right, Trey, fair enough. Go do what you got to do, my guy. Like, he's like, all right, come on. All right, now I'm going to go around this screen. I'm going to get you on my hip, and I'm going to, like, take a little step back long two or something, just money. And you're like, okay. And then he gets in transition, and he hits you with a Euro and finishes over, dunks on you and stuff. You're like, oh, okay. Everything else about his game is a little bit lackluster, in my opinion. In theory, he should be able to become a good defender. He's got good size and good athleticism and everything. I'm just not really seeing a bunch of it now, and that's okay. He's young, right? Not tripping about that. But man, dude is a bucket getter. He doesn't see anyone else on the court, though. Like, the assist numbers, like, meh. No, not good. He doesn't really read the game on a team level, so that's the thing, right? With guys like this and like Cam Thomas, there's a reason that like a lot of these dudes that can just get absolute buckets but can't do anything else don't make it in the NBA. So I have concerns about him, but he's at least got like really good size to kind of go behind it, right? And like we've just seen so much ability to do so much offensively, like with the basketball, that I'm like, okay, we can try to develop something here. I'm just not going to say like, oh, he's going to be an all-star at some point. He's got phenomenal potential offensively, but it's going to take the right basketball mind to turn him into something, right? Like he's just got a lot to learn. He's a Jalen Green type of guy. He just doesn't get the game completely, but he's got a ton of ability. So really, really excited to see what we can do with him. Asa Noel. If you guys have been watching these videos, I've been saying I like him like as a top 10 guy for a minute now. So we got another big in the top 10. We haven't really seen that up to this point. I like this kid. I got to see him in person. Really like his game. I was kind of watching him work out and stuff. I'm like, ooh, okay, 6'11". They tell me he's a power forward. Oh, he's 6'11", 220, 19-year-old freshman at Georgia. Basically, at Georgia, he just kind of dunks the basketball, which is, you know, kind of what it is, right? You're like, okay, like, yeah, he's bigger than everybody. That's fair. He's making it himself, though. Like, he's in the right positions. He's knowing what to do. He's got the athleticism to go up and get the ball and stuff. Moves well with the basketball. But here's the thing. Like, I've watched him work out a ton. I'm like, there's more to his game. Georgia's just not using him enough. And as of late, he's been hitting more three-pointers and stuff. So now it's like, okay. I still don't see him playing like the 4 at the NBA level. But at 6'11", 220, you can run, jump, dunk, and pick and pop. Okay, sign me up for that right away. Like, I'm down for this. Like, defensively, I feel very good about him. He can get above the rim and contest shots and stuff. Sign me up for Asa Noel. Oh, that's right. The Thunder have the Sixer pick. Oh my goodness. Like, yeah, don't let him end up on Oklahoma City. We'll never see another championship from another team ever. But yeah, no, I really like this kid. I think he's cool. Like, and I know it sounds like I'm hyping up like every prospect here right now. It's a good class. If you would have watched my videos last year, I would have told you I don't like a lot of these players, in all honesty, and I felt bad saying it, but now we get to have the opposite end of things. So maybe we'll find a more balanced draft class at some point. Kneppel, I don't know. Watched a lot of Duke basketball games. This guy is going to be basically a Dalton Connect type guy, right? Where like, yeah, he can put the ball on the floor a little bit, but mostly going to be used as a shooter in the NBA. Mostly because like, have we seen him do a lot of pick and roll type stuff at the college level? Yep. I don't think he's got the ball handling or like the athleticism or anything to warrant teams letting him do that at the NBA level. So he's just better than everyone else right now. So he gets to do it right now in college. But the shot making and everything, while not falling a ton, I'm not stressed about it. I think it's going to be fine. Like, he seems to have a good understanding of where to be, like how to put the ball up and everything. If you're curious, 6'6", 217, that's great size for a freshman. That's really good. So this guy should be able to play a little bit of defense as well. He's tough as all hell, too. Like, I'll give him credit. He is the typical white Wisconsin basketball player where he's just like probably lifting hay bales on the side and stuff like that and comes home real dusty every day. But, you know, he put in a hard day's work type thing. So he's also got a ton of brothers that are like really good as well. So we'll have to watch that, the next Duke family, right? But no, he's looking really smooth. I'm excited to see him go to the next level. He'll be running off of floppy screens for years to come and hopefully playing good defense as well. Because it's always nice to have those like Duncan Robinson type guys, but when they can defend as well and be tough, beautiful. I'm not saying Duncan Robinson's not tough or anything. You know what I mean. Ben Seraph. I feel like every international viewer of mine just loves Ben Seraph. So Ben Seraph's been thrown around in a bunch of different roles this year. I know recently he got to play like a little bit more again, but he's being asked to be a bench scorer right now. I should probably tell you guys, big playmaker again. Not a surprise. Gets up and down the court in a hurry. The Manu Ginobili comparison is very fair. Big lefty, right? He's able to score. That's what he does, right? Really able to score. He's not converting at a high level right now, which, look, it's hard to play in these Euro leagues. It really is. Like, these dudes that he's playing against as an 18-year-old are no joke. They're really good, so I'm not tripping about it. It's impossible to disregard his effectiveness getting to spots. I totally agree. His ball handling, change of speed, all looks good. He looks competent pulling up. I can't disagree with that. Only 4 other freshmen assisting on more than 30% of their possessions. Yep. So, yeah, he gets it, right? Big playmaker. Should be able to stop, go get some buckets whenever you need. Kind of play either position at the 1 or 2. I love the Ginobili comparison. I can totally see it. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if he's ever going to be a lead point guard or something, but could be a really interesting option off the bench for somebody. 12, Colin Murray Boyles. I'm curious why he's up so high now. 20-point game, 10 out of 10 shooting highlighted, his advantageous power and inside the arc skill for an interior score. 22 points, 9 boards, 4 assists. Okay, I'll keep saying, no, the Julius Randle comparison is perfect. I'm glad that they've seen it. I don't know if the other Bleacher Report articles I've read in the past have said it as well. He's college Julius Randle, which means very talented, right? Good basketball player. I don't think you win playing his style of basketball at the NBA level, right? Like he kind of just likes to get in the high post, control everything. I don't really think he sees the game like all that well, but he's a lot bigger, a lot stronger than everybody, can go do his own thing. This is actually the first non like freshman age dude to be picked too. He's a sophomore, believe it or not. So not a huge difference. But no, he's bigger, stronger than everybody else. He makes plays mostly inside the post. I don't need a power forward that does that, right? A 6'7" power forward that only scores in the post. I think any of you playing 2K would say, nope, not too interested in a guy like that. And I would tend to say you're correct. We don't need that on an NBA team necessarily. Does he have some skill? Sure, absolutely. Like, try to make it work. I'd just be disappointed if my team took him personally. So that's just my thing. Igor has fallen to 13 out of BYU. Believe it or not, another big point guard, basically. 6'9", they have him as like a 2-3. He has the ball the entire game for BYU, though. That's what he does. The Jalen Rose comparison is actually pretty solid. Hasn't been shooting the greatest so far, and he's one of those guys where I'm like, okay, yes, the success that he has with the ball at the college level is good. Can I picture him doing it at an NBA level? Not necessarily. I don't think he's good enough to do it there. And so that's when I'm like, okay, what are we doing then with him? So like, I need to see him being able to play without the basketball, hitting some catch and shoot threes and stuff, right? But then combining that and being like, all right, I caught and I shot and I made a couple threes. Now I'm putting it back on the court and doing some other things with it. I'm moving the ball around because you're 6'9". If you can do all that, cool, I've got some value in you then. But I'm not personally confident enough in him to be a lead NBA ball handler, so I need to see a little bit more, but still super, super talented. And he's a young guy as well, another freshman coming in right now, so it'll be interesting. He sees the game well at the end of the day. Nolan Traore, you guys have told me how to say it. I just don't remember. I just don't. Okay, so this guy's playing in an extremely tough league out in France, right? Very, very competitive. Funny enough, someone was just talking to me in the comments about like the French All-Star game. One of my former college teammates was in the All-Star game in France, and so I was seeing some of the pictures from it. Really, really cool. Very good athlete, in my opinion. They always say he's like not very explosive in these articles. Are they going to say it again? Because I think that he is. Lack of explosion around the basket. I don't exactly know what that means. But like, yeah, the ball handling, the speed and everything, like looks really good. He's getting up and down the court, Lonzo Ball style. Like he sees the court extremely well, right? Like big guard, again, passing the ball around like crazy. Defensively, he should be able to make some plays. He's just literally not making shots right now, which I can get over that for the most part. If he's getting to the right spots, I can hope that I can teach him how to do something because like I really like his frame and his skill set and everything. It's just not converting right now. Like it does matter at the end of the day. Eventually you got to be able to hit some shots, right? But for a young kid, not tripping about it too much. So I guess we'll see with old Nolan here. For the rest of these outside of the lottery, I'm just kind of going to rattle through them for the first round. I'll say a little bit about them, and second round guys will kind of touch on if we want to, if I think that they're interesting. Liam McNeely, he's going to be a shooter. He puts the ball in the court right now because he can, and they play an NBA style offense at UConn, which is great. It'll help him translate really well. He's got good size and everything. The athleticism's not very good, but you can see him being a Georges Niang type player. So there's a role for that in the NBA. There's something that we can do with him. Again, he's mostly just going to be a shooter come NBA time, even though right now he's getting the ball around the bucket a little bit more because he's better than college guys. Boogie Fland, been watching him a little bit more recently. It feels like he's been kind of, they haven't been playing quite as good of opponents. I remember I was doing a scouting report on these guys recently, and so that's kind of why I have that thought in the forefront of my mind. And I'm like, yeah, no, he's been quarterbacking a lot more recently, or not quarterbacking, like what's the word I should use? Maybe it's quarterbacking, where it's like he's kind of like delegating to other guys more so on the team, where it's like, okay, like basically I'm saying his assist numbers have been up a lot more than his scoring recently, but still, like there's been times late in games where he's like, look, I can just go get you a bucket from all three levels. Very cool. This is basically another Rob Dillingham type of player, a little bit smaller. I'm gonna have some questions about him defensively, but he can really create, he's quick and things like that. So cool. I wouldn't say he's demonstrated to me like killer speed like a Rob Dillingham has, though, so that's where I have a little bit of concern then if you're a smaller guard and you don't have that killer speed. So something to watch there. Noah Sengue, I think is how you say it. He's shown a little bit of everything. I know his scoring numbers have been up like the past week or something like that, but he's shown he can do a little bit of everything. Nothing great yet, but when you're 6'9" and you've shown me a little bit of everything, shooting, dribbling, athleticism, defense, right? It's like, okay, yeah, I'll be interested, but no real hard opinions on him yet. Derek Queen. Can somebody tell me if this guy's athletic or not? I tend to lean no, but there's sometimes where I see him do athletic things. And like, why does he bring the ball up the court sometimes? And like, sometimes he's like hitting threes, and sometimes he's hitting people with like euros and then bricking like the layup, but then he just like gets it and puts it back for a dunk. So I just find him so confusing as a player. I don't know if he's like good or not. So give me your opinions on Derek Queen, because I don't know. What are they saying about him? Jared Sullinger, Wendell Carter. That's what I'm saying. Like, he doesn't seem like an athlete, but then there's certain plays where I'm like, okay, maybe he's one of those dudes that just because he's like 19 years old, right, he's gonna have athletic moments because he's got young legs, right? Maybe that's how I have to look at it. He has 5 20-point games, which is tough to do as a freshman, including 2 against ranked opponents. Yep. Aside from just finding ways to use his strength and soft hands around the baskets, he's showing confidence in his jump shot. I've seen that. Counter footwork and off the dribble shot touch. Yeah, no, like he's done some things off the dribble. It's kind of interesting. There's going to be a debate over the legitimacy of his perimeter flashes. That's what I'm saying. I don't know. But he appears to be too productive and skilled to pass. Yep. And he's another big, right? Bigs are hard to find. So you explore it a little bit. So if we can turn him into a Jalen Smith type player, which again, I don't see that type of athleticism, then maybe there's something. If there's not that type of athleticism, I struggle to see where he fits a little bit more. Fillion, the not very athletic point guard that just seems to kind of get it though. Again, younger player, 6'4", skinny kid, right? Skinny kid. And also not very athletic. Shot making ability. He's been able to consistently score using his handles, footwork, and touch. Yep. He's again kind of dissecting teams and everything. I've watched a lot of Alabama ball this year. I'm not incredibly high on him. I'm not surprised that this is where they find him on the list. I go, okay, not very athletic. I'm not sure defensively how you're going to be in the NBA, because I don't know how much you can fill out and stuff, and somebody's going to abuse you like physically. Luckily, you've got some size to you, so I don't know, but it worries me, these like tall, not shooting point guards. I don't know. It just worries me a little bit. Thomas Sorber. Now, this guy is interesting. How is he not ahead of Queen? Like, I've been watching this guy because I discovered him through watching these videos mostly. And again, younger guy, again, right? Not a young guys in this class. It's a good class. We have 6'10", 255. Big old boy. But here's the thing. He's stepping out. He's hitting shots. He's catching alley-oops. He's blocking the shit out of everybody, right? So, like, I'm like, that all sounds awesome at that size. That sounds really, really good. There's no freshman wall yet to slow him. He just dominated Coppin State with 22 points, 12 boards, 4 blocks, 3 assists after a 19.4 block game against Seton Hall. His strength and interior skill have been too much for opponents in the paint. Yeah, he's bigger than everyone else, while the passing and disruptive defense continues to add extra layers to it. Yeah, no, I've seen the passing out of the post. Like, it looks good. He's blocking a ton of shots. He looks great. Slightly undersized at 6'10" for a post player center. Yeah, he's not going to do that in the NBA, but he is taking outside jump shots, and I've seen him play above the rim and everything, and I'm like, okay, sign me up for that, right? That sounds good to me. You're blocking shots, playing above the rim, and you can step out and hit a little bit. Great. Sign me up right now. I'm a fan. Hugo Gonzalez, I'll continue to say, looks like he should be a really good basketball player, but all my data tells me that he won't be. We've seen the athleticism. He doesn't really get to play a whole bunch right now. He's with Real Madrid, which is a really, really good team for those of you that don't know. And just because you're a top draft prospect doesn't mean they're going to play you. They're trying to win their own games, right? That's just how they work. But we've seen the athleticism. They've seen the ball handling, like him dunking on people and getting up and down the court. He had a really good game recently. He had a breakout 14-point game. I know that doesn't seem like much, but there's not as much scoring in Euroball. But yeah, he's gone back to his bench, and he hasn't done very much. We've just seen so much of him for such a long time that maybe he's just a name that's sticking around, but I don't know. I don't have a hard enough opinion on him yet. Ian Jackson back in the first round. Ian. These types of players I finally watched a little bit of North Carolina basketball. I know I've been kind of putting it off, but he's one of those combo guards who, look, when you're in between positions, I get it, right? I always tell you guys, when it's not always a good thing to be in between positions. People like to buy a product where they know what it is at the end of the day. So that's going to hurt him. He doesn't have like the playmaking skills that a combo guard needs to have, because a combo guard is like the one like true in between position guy that like teams understand and it works. But when you can't like create your own shot effectively or create shots for others, I don't know what the hell you're supposed to do for me then. So you've got 6'4", 190 shooting guard. He likes to have the ball sometimes. He's a good athlete. They compare him to Lonnie Walker, but I don't I don't get it. I don't really know what to do with him. Neat Clifford, finally, an older guy. We've got a 22-year-old, a senior, right? 6'6", small forward, power forward. He can just do a little bit of everything, right? He's one of those kind of just like savvy vet guys in college now, right? So doing a little bit of everything. We'll see what he does in the NBA. Like his in-between scoring and off-the-dribble shooting have been newer additions to his offensive repertoire. He's still auditioning for more of an NBA Swiss Army knife role. That's the thing. Like he's got to find something, some sort of niche to him, right? Otherwise, I don't really know. Thiero, I'm kind of meh on him. Super athletic, using his athleticism, footwork, and frame. Open floor suggests transition, scoring, slashing, and cutting. Offense, he's averaging 18 points and 70% within the arc. Those are great numbers. He's gotten better at creating for himself. I would disagree. I don't think it's that good still, so I don't really know what I'm doing with him outside of just letting him like rim run sometimes. But he is 6'8", 220, which is nice. He is a little bit older as well, which again, I'm not tripping about or anything, but I don't know. Not overly excited. Rasheer Fleming, I'll be real, haven't watched a ton of this guy. I know that he hits threes and dunks. That's what I keep seeing on Twitter about him. Scouts, a mix of inside scoring, shooting. He's the only player in the country with 20 or more threes and dunks. See, that's what I was talking about. Defensive playmaking, 3.5 steals and 5.5 blocks. Is that per game? No shot, right? That's pretty crazy if it is. Also, highlight disruptive length and everything. If the three-point accuracy continues, he does look confident and fluid, spotting up and everything. Okay, so we could have like a Brandon Clark type guy that could step out and hit maybe. That could be interesting. Alex Tui has made it. Okay, basically, yeah, bigger dude that can get up and down the court, playing transition, stuff like that. He uses his size, strength, and body control effectively on drives and paint finishes. Made a couple threes recently. Cool. I just love his name. I don't know why Alex Tui just feels like an Australian guy that should be a good basketball player. So there you go. Here's the other Illinois guy, Will Riley. Okay, that is what I thought his name was. I didn't sound confident in it for a second. So they're going to compare him to Keyshawn George, which isn't a very nice thing to do right now, considering how Keyshawn George is playing. Sorry, Keyshawn George. It's been a struggle to watch you play this year. I'm sorry. But you're a rookie, and we'll give you time. As with anybody else, hope you figure it out. He's one of those guys that like can handle the rock a little bit right now. No way I can see him doing it at the NBA level right now. So, I don't know. He can shot create a little bit, but can he do it at the NBA level? Not so sure, because I haven't seen a ton of creativeness out of him. It's kind of just the same one move over and over again. So we'll see, right? At the end of the day, you're that size and you can do a little bit with the basketball. Teams will be curious about you, especially at the end of the first round. Cam Jones, looking over here, Malik Monk is an interesting comparison for an older guy. Proven shot maker and consistently one of the more efficient rim finishing guards in college hoops. Cam Jones is now taken off this year as a playmaker. Yeah, you're 6'5", 205. You should be able to body a couple people. He'll be 23 by then. He feels like one of those guys too that's not actually 6'5", so I'm 6'5" for comparison, and I feel like he's smaller than me. So I feel like come draft time they're going to say he's a little bit smaller, and that's going to hurt his stock. Rocco Zakarski, you guys know I like him. He doesn't get a ton of burn right now, but I just think you can't teach some of the things that he can do defensively. Offensively, it's pretty much just run, jump, dunk, but defensively, super long wingspan, 7'2", can do a bunch of different things there. Just seems like he has a good sense for the game overall, and he's pretty new to basketball for the most part, which I'm like, bro, you're this big. Why didn't people put you in basketball sooner? But, you know, is what it is. I like him, and I'm curious about him. And then Caravan, same thing. Older guy that can just do a little bit of everything. You got a little bit of size and strength to him. Georges Niang type. That's fair. Okay, let's go through the second round guys and see if there's anybody that I'm like super curious about at the end of the day. I'm not so high on Rusic here. I got to watch like a little bit of film of him the other day, and he's kind of supposed to be like a do-it-all kind of big or whatever. I don't think it's like actually that great, and I don't think he's going to fill out at all. So that's my thought on him. Sanan, I've seen a little bit of him recently. I need a little bit more, but scorer type of guy. Dink Pate, I'll keep saying is interesting because of his like size and ball handling ability. Again, 6'8" point guard. Can't really shoot the basketball right now, but he's playing in the G League, which look, you're getting some decent experience there. It's not the greatest basketball in the world, but it's better than college. So there you go. Jameer Watkins, I'm not too interested in there. Catchings, not too interested there. Walter Clayton, he's been kind of interesting, actually. The Fred VanVleet comparison is actually pretty good. His game has seemingly reached a new high. The 6'3" guard posting career best 2-point percentage, but that's really good. Threes per game, almost 3, and assists. Pretty good. Shot making will always be his moneymaker, though. He's been far more effective finishing and playmaking, which could help scouts put more stock into his craftiness and everything. I could like see him in an NBA offense. So I'm curious about him. JT Toppin, not too interested. Markovich, not too interested personally. Not too interested there. Gonna be honest, just haven't watched a ton of Serio. Danny Wolf. Okay, so I can't tell if, like, let me just slow up for a second. So he transferred over from, where was it? Where did he transfer over from? He went to an Ivy League. Did he not? It doesn't mention. I'm pretty sure he transferred from an Ivy League. He's a big that can like handle the rock a little bit. It's a lot better than you'd think it was. Like I watched it like really in depth. Like I watched like 2 full like games of like his play the other day, and I was like, okay, there's actually like kind of something here. But I don't have a strong enough opinion yet to say that he can do it at an NBA level. Like he might just be kind of a Frank Kaminsky like college player where like, yeah, he could put the ball on the floor there, but can he do it here? He's definitely more athletic than like Frank Kaminsky though. So I'm very curious. 7 foot, 250, can do a little bit of everything. I'm curious about him. Johnny Broom, I believe is how you say it. I actually like this guy too. While traditionally a guy like him, where his game would not translate to the NBA, right? For comparison's sake, 6'10", 240, big ass dude, Carlos Boozer ass build, right? Like likes to get down in the post, like really be physical with people, stuff like that. Around the rim score. I know he what was it? He blocks like a ton of shots, right? Blocks a ton of shots. A little bit older, right? So he's putting up some better scoring numbers and stuff. He's not going to get to really do that at the NBA level, but I feel like he's so physically strong and good with his footwork and everything that like we could put him on the team as like a third big or something like that, and he could eventually become like a Taj Gibson type player or something like that. So I don't know, just hear me out on that one, okay? We'll see. Xavier Lee, not too interested. DeVries, no. Kalkbrenner, I don't think it works at the NBA level. Lanier, not too interested there. Darian Williams, I've been kind of curious about him, if he can put the ball on the floor a little bit more. Faye, have not watched really any of him so far. 6'10", we don't even have a weight on him yet, so I guess we'll see. Ladenborg, he's UAB, right? Yeah, UAB, no, not too interested. They compared him to Jalen Slauson. Oh wow, no, yeah, no. Tyrese Proctor, I'll keep saying, just stay at Duke, get your bag, dog. Don't sweat it. Mark Sears, I could see him playing at an NBA level. I just could. I think the scoring will be good enough, and he can play without the ball as well, which is cool. Henshaw, haven't watched a ton of him. Ivizic, he's interesting. I'm not completely sold on him yet. He can stay another year in college, maybe, if that's possible, but basically 7'2", can shoot the ball a little bit. Not weak, not strong. That's how I'd say it. Hunter Salas, he'll get NBA looks just because he's such a gifted scorer and he's got decent size. 6'5", cool. Branham's an interesting comparison for him. I wouldn't say he's quite as good at like getting to the rim as maybe Branham was, but cool. Ryan Nemhard, not too interested there. Dixon, not too interested right there. And that's the end. Alrighty, another mock draft has come and gone. I love doing these every other week. It's cool to catch up with it where everybody is. I think we saw a lot of change in this draft compared to this mock draft compared to some of the other ones. We're starting to form some harder opinions on guys, which is good. That's why we do this every other week, to kind of keep up with things. But anyway, let me know your guys' thoughts down below. I appreciate it as always, and I hope you guys have a great weekend. Thanks so much. Bye.